Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jeff Merritt, and you're watching Cox Connections only on Cox 9. Center in the Square is a unique home for regional arts and cultural organizations. The center helps to create and drive opportunities that enhance education, economic development, and quality of life. Housed within the Signature Building are 5 cultural arts and science nonprofit organizations, including the new Roanoke Pinball Museum. Joining me now is the President and General Manager of Center in the Square, Dr. Jim Sears, along with the Pinball Museum Founder, Steve Bowery. Guys, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, good morning.
Pleasure, thank you.
Steve, let's start with you. This is really exciting. The Center in the Square is the Pinball Museum now, but tell us a little bit about the history. Where did this idea come from?
Well, when I was a teenager, I had a pinball machine at my house. I begged my parents, they finally bought one, and I really enjoyed it when I was growing up. But to be honest with you, I went away to college and just really never thought a lot more about pinball until about 3 or 4 years ago. And with eBay and that type of thing, I started doing some research, and I bought some new machines and put them in my house, and just became interested in it again.
And so you had this interest, thought maybe others might as well. I mean, how did it come from a small collection in your home to what we now know as the Pinball Museum? Well,
a couple years ago, I was chosen to be on the Center in the Square Board of Directors, and about that same time, I thought about this idea of having a pinball museum, and did a little bit of research, and I saw that there was other communities that had the museums around the country, and did a little bit of extra research. We went to Asheville, North Carolina, and did a little on-site visit there at their pinball museum, and saw a lot of people, a lot of excitement around that. And it happened to be that Center in the Square had some space that was being underutilized at that time, and brought the idea to Jim's attention, and Jim was very excited about it. We spent a little time doing some due diligence, and around February or so, we decided that we were going to do this and move forward with it.
Gotcha. And how do you secure these machines? I mean, obviously, are they private collectors that donate these, or how does this all come about? How do you get the group together?
Well, there's machines that you can find on the internet where people are buying and selling. There's different groups and different sites that you can go to find the machines. And we found a number of machines in Bedford, Virginia. Those were the first 7 or 8 machines that we bought.
Okay.
We brought those onto the space, and we just did some additional research and found other machines in the area.
Gotcha.
And acquired those.
That's great. That's great. And how many machines are in there now?
We have about 80 machines.
Wow.
We were hoping to have 25 or 30. We had no idea that we would have that many machines, and because we've only been open for 4 months. And so we're way ahead of expectation on the machine acquisition.
That's great.
We have so many that we have some that are being stored off-site and being worked on.
Excellent.
And then when machines break on-site, we'll move those off and then bring another machine on-site to take its place. So we have plenty of machines right now.
Which is, that change out is probably good, so folks who are repeat visitors can see something different maybe when they come.
There's probably, of the 30 or 40 really core machines, there's 10 or 15 you see people go to and they really like the most, and those are the favorite ones. We'll always have those in there, but you're right, we'll rotate the other ones in and out.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Now, Dr. Sears, tell us a little bit about why the Pinball Museum is important to Center in the Square.
Center in the Square was set up to help transform downtown Roanoke and bringing the original 5 organizations in, turn downtown around. And for people who were here in the 60s and 70s, they see the difference today. The Pinball Museum, Steve mentioned we visited Asheville. I wanted to go to Seattle and San Francisco because those are known, along with Asheville and Roanoke to an extent, that they attract the knowledge worker, that they attract the young worker. And so Pinball Museum falls right into that category. Center Square is interested in making sure that we reach all of our population, and we're bringing in a new audience to some extent with pinball. And to go through and watch someone my age or older play pinball, and right next to that person is a 9-year-old playing pinball, it's fantastic. So we're bringing in groups of people that we didn't have before, and it's a very successful museum, but it's also core to a city that is trying to attract the knowledge worker, the young worker, trying to advance in terms of economic development and education. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, that's what Center's all about, is educating our public, helping with the economic development and improving quality of life. So pinball fits right in. And Steve and I have some other ideas too that we hope to develop in the future.
This is just the start.
Yeah, just a start. That's exactly right.
Well, you mentioned the multi-generational aspect of the Pinball Museum. I think that's pretty neat because you get, like you say, you could have dad,
Right.
granddad, son, all boys and girls really, all in there playing. And there's the educational aspect, not only in terms of seeing the pinball machines, but you have a historical aspect to this as well, right?
You do, and education. We have educational programs around pinball, and we meet the area's SOL standards. And we can talk about physics, we can talk about electronics, talk about art, culture. There are a lot of things to talk about with pinball, and actually you can go online and see some of our educational material. One thing that Steve said to me, I don't know, a year ago, is that he wanted to see a museum where as you mentioned, where the dad and mom and children all came together, and the dad, who typically the dad, I guess, back in my day, earlier or later, played pinball. So now he wanted to show his children pinball. And the kids today love pinball. We think about them playing their electronic games. They love pinball because when they shoot that ball, they watch it, they cause the ball to go up, and they're engaged with it. Right. Sort of like our turtles in the atrium. They engage you where the fish don't necessarily engage you, but turtles come right up to the glass and look at you. Right. So pinball is kind of the same way. You do something, you activate that ball, and you watch that ball, and you flip that ball back up and get points.
Right. And these, there's quite a history with some of these. What is your oldest pinball game?
We have a 1932 machine that was in an old general store in Franklin County that was donated. Okay. And it looks almost like a piece of furniture. If you look at it, it looks like a dresser. It's flat. It's of course it's not electronic. It's mechanical. And it's very interesting. It's a 1932 machine, and the reason that that's unique is that's about the time that pinball started in the United States in that same period. So we're fortunate to have one of the very early machines.
Gotcha. So you can really see the history of pinball from the early 30s all the way up to, what's your newest machine?
Yeah, we have a 1948 machine. We have a number of machines that were in the 40s and 50s, and they're wood rail. They're manufactured with wood trim. That was unique to that period of time. And then we have a lot of 60s and 70s machines, and those are electromechanical. Those Gottlieb, Bally, Williams, Chicago Coins, those were the big companies that manufactured machines. And that was a real heyday, was in the 60s and 70s. So that's really what the primary part of our collection is. In 76 or 1977 or so was when it became solid state. You had the LED and all the new types of technology was introduced. And we have some of those machines as well. So somebody can walk in and literally see machines all the way from the 30s to the present.
Excellent, excellent. Yep. So I love what you're doing there. It's great stuff. And thank you both for joining us today to tell us a little bit more about not just the Pinball Machine Museum, which is great, but also the entire museum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. For more information about Center in the Square, plan a visit or go to centerinthesquare.org. Before you go, I want to personally thank you for choosing Cox Communications for your entertainment, information, and communication needs. We know you could have chosen another provider, but because you choose us, we promise to provide you with quality products backed up by a talented local team of professionals. I'm Jeff Merritt, and we'll see you next time on Cox Connections.